Welcome to Run, Walk, Talk, Tales of Inclusion and Development. I'm Judy, and my pronouns are she and her. And I'm here with Steph, and her pronouns are she and her. And today we are very excited to welcome back Rebecca Hockin to the podcast.
Rebecca, it's so nice to have you back. I was looking at our past podcast, so it's been almost a year. And the
Yes.
last time you were here, we were talking about the concept of relationship intelligence. And today we're going to be talking about how anyone can build their creative muscle, which will be interesting. And we know this is a topic that you're particularly passionate about.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back. It's good to
Yeah.
chat again with both of you. And yes, this is certainly a passion topic and one that I think is actually really important in the modern
Mhm.
workplace.
Mhm.
Well, excited to dive in. And before we do dive in, we just wanted to share a little bit about you, Rebecca. So, Rebecca is a lawyer and an executive coach for lawyers, and she loves working collaboratively with people across all areas of expertise to develop practical and creative solutions to legal and business issues. And as a coach, she's really passionate about helping her clients create fulfilling and sustainable careers. But Rebecca is more than her work. She is also a wife, a mother, daughter, sister, friend, and community member. And she makes a point of creating space in her life for exercise, music, reading, and meaningful connection. And Rebecca and I think it's worth noting again that we trained and ran our first half marathon together. And in thinking about this, Steph, you said it was about a year ago. And I think at that time, and also this time we're recording, uh, Rebecca and I actually ran the Good Life marathon or half marathon in Victoria, which would have been around this weekend. And Steph, you were there too.
That's
So,
right.
so
Yes.
a lot of different pieces all coming together. So,
That's
Again,
great.
this
welcome
is like
back.
I'm having a deja vu moment. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, let's jump in and if anybody, is watching us, we did not plan the glasses black shirt outfit, okay? Just so you know. Let's talk a little bit about some, this sort of myth or, as I was thinking about this, I mean, many people think creativity is really reserved for artists. So, how do you kind of define creativity in a way that feels accessible to everyone? And I feel like in the workplace, creativity sometimes, yeah, feels a little bit fluffy.
For sure. Yes. Certainly, I think there is an association with the word creativity with art, right? We think of art, we
Mm,
think of
hmm
painting and drawing and
hmm
writing and dancing and theater, music, maybe. And absolutely, that's a huge source of creativity and expression of creativity,
hmm
which I'm really passionate about, and we'll get into that. And we all have these different parts of ourselves and parts of our brains that are creative in that they can generate new ideas and also put together seemingly different concepts, into one. Andrew Huberman talks a lot about creativity in those two different ways, like divergent creativity, that ideation, and then convergent creativity, which is bringing ideas together into something new. But I think so that's where I think creativity has a broader definition. It can mean, bringing seemingly separate things together, coming up with new ideas, innovation, which, we hear all the time at every workplace, right? We're talking about
Yeah,
innovation. That is like a corporate word for creativity, essentially. It's like
totally.
something new. So
Mm.
I think it is art and it is more broad. And I do think the two go together in terms of the more artistic or creative, typically creative things like, the arts, but also cooking and travel,
Mhm.
um, baking stuff. I'm sure, although you have to follow
That's right.
procedures, there, I imagine there's creativity in that for you.
100%. Yes, for sure. For sure.
So yeah, both creative interests that are in that more prototypical or commonly thought of creativity, and then the expansion of that way of thinking. And anyone who starts talking about the right brain and the left brain will be filled with criticisms of it's not that separate, and it isn't. It's both, right? But
Mhm.
that right
Mhm.
side or that right hemisphere of intuitive, emotional, creative thought, that's in all of us. We all have that and we're using it every day, but we can exercise it in different ways.
Well, and thinking to what you said about, when you're baking, there's creativity involved. Like I think there is, as you're suggesting creativity in the everyday, and people maybe don't realize that they're being creative. And I know one of the things that you've spoken about is that, small practices can unlock creativity. And so, what might those small practices look like, and why could they potentially have such a big effect?
Yes, small practices, I think, are the way to start anything new in a really sustainable and kind of experimental way, which is really what creativity is. It's experimental, um, engaging with the unknown to see what could occur, what's possible. And so the small practices I like to recommend are taken straight out of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And those
Mm-hmm.
are the writing, just a free write, not for very long, and just writing down whatever is in your mind, ideally first thing in the morning. I
Mm-hmm.
really love this with the lawyers I talk to and work with, and for myself, because we, like many professionals, will bill hourly, sometimes, and in particular in 6-minute increments. And so, what I like to say is you can take 6 minutes, that's a point one,
Mm-hmm.
for your brain, for your creative brain, and just
Mhm.
take 6 minutes, put a timer on, and just write whatever comes up and don't stop. And you're not doing anything, you're not looking for any goal, there's no product that has to come out of it. It is truly just a practice. And I think most people will be surprised by how they feel after, especially if you do it for a week, just 6 minutes a day. So that's the first one. And that's
Okay.
Julia Cameron's morning pages, just adapted for
Mhm.
lawyers
Mhm.
who bill by the 6-minute increment. Um, and then I would also say, also from Julia Cameron, is engaging with new interests. So that the writing clears the slate and
Mm-hmm.
lets you be able to, take in and develop new ideas and clear your head. But
Mm-hmm.
taking in new ideas and trying new things, just really, really little, following your interests, your curiosities once a week is what she
Mm-hmm.
calls artist dates. But really, it's just saying, okay, I'm really interested in this exhibit at the art gallery. I'm going to go to that. That's actually kind of a big one. It might be something smaller, right? It might be
Mhm.
this person mentioned a website that was really interesting, or there's a mural I walk past every day on my way to work, and I'm going to stop and stand in
Mm.
front of it for a little
Mm.
bit next
Mm.
time and just take a moment. Or there's a garden that I love, and that makes me feel like, oh, maybe that would be something I might want to do. And so maybe you just walk past the garden instead of skipping it on the walk home. So it can be really simple,
Mhm.
but it's
Mhm.
following, I call it following your wishes. Like, what do you wish you had a little bit of time for?
Mm.
Yeah.
I really like that following your
Mm-hmm.
wishes.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Going back to sort of you gave the example of the free writing. Can you, because I will admit, I have tried the free writing process and I struggle with it. Like the being able to write for 6 minutes, like I feel like I should write out a recipe or I should write out a goal or a plan. Like it feels very unstructured. So if like, I'm sure I'm not the only one that sort of feels
No.
like this. Is the idea you just keep going? What's your sort of take on for someone like myself to help kind of make sure that, because I really struggle with it and I hear it all the time about this free writing and it almost like really actually makes me a bit anxious,
Mm.
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
definitely hear this all the time.
Yeah.
And I have that too, and I write
Yeah.
regularly, and I still have it where I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't have anything to write. I should be doing this. My to-do list is just
Yes.
piling up, and I
Yes.
can't write that. But you could. You could write
Right.
that down. So
Right.
I guess the first suggestion I would say is to write about the fact that it's really frustrating you.
Ah, yeah.
So you could just
Yeah.
write about that. That's really the
Yeah.
thought that you're having, and you can write that down and just try
Yeah.
it. You could even try it for 3 minutes. You can shorten the time. And then the other thing I would say is if it's not working for you, what's another way that might work better for you to just get out whatever is inside? And for some people,
Right.
that's talking, right? You could send yourself a voice note. Ideally, the writing is helpful because it's physical.
Right.
Um, and it's, there's language to it, but I think you could just talk to yourself, go for a walk and talk to yourself. And you don't even have to
Okay.
listen to it after, but
So
pretend you're on a call, and just
that's
talk out
right.
whatever's in your mind. Yeah.
That's right. So it almost sounds like, but what I hear from you, besides sort of the free writing, it sounds like also using other senses, right? Like you're using other senses, whether that's stopping to see the guard, like the garden or whatever, using your sight or smell or something. Would you say?
Yes. For the second one, the artist date and the following
Yeah.
your wishes, that's
Yes.
exactly
Yeah.
what Julia Cameron would say. Is like if you're stuck there and you don't know where to start, pick a sense and go with that. Oh, what's a
Mm.
restaurant or a
Right.
cafe I've been wanting to go to? I've been wanting to try this
Yeah.
new, pumpkin spice latte, whatever.
Totally.
It's
Yes.
Thanksgiving. But yeah, just a sense I think is a really nice way to make a decision about what is that thing that you're interested in that you want to follow.
Yeah.
Well, and if I could just sneak
Yeah.
in with a bit of a question, Rebecca, like I know for myself, sometimes my most creative ideas come when I'm walking the dog, or I'm out for a run on my own,
Yes.
or I'm about to fall asleep, unfortunately, or I'm, like that's where
Yeah.
things pop up. And
Mhm.
it makes me, what you're describing makes me think about that. And also to what Steph's saying, when you're really goal oriented, it's sometimes hard to just be writing something for the sake of it. Like it feels like, why am I doing this? Is it almost to get to that place where you're getting things out and then boom, it actually lets the, like when you're out looking at a garden, that might be the time where something just pops
Yes,
into your head.
absolutely. That,
Mm.
I mean, not trying is often when the ideas come. The writing,
Mhm.
the free write, is not to
Mm,
come up with ideas. It's to
mm,
clear your head of all the stuff that's in the way, whether it's the to-do list or the anxiety or the worry, all of that, and just get it out. And then
mhm,
later down the road, I mean, you might come up with something while you're writing if you keep going, but later down the road, you'll have those moments where you're in the shower or you're walking the dog or you're running. Like I've created characters and storylines and scenes running, and I
Mhm.
literally have to then run to write it down, like and that is very common, I think, for a lot
Yeah.
of creators to have those experiences of like, it's happening, like how
Mhm.
am I going to get this
That's
down?
where
And
that
it's
voice note
unexpected.
Yeah.
is really handy.
Yeah.
Yes, I sent myself texts. Like I can tell you my own personal creative project that I'm on right now. It's like I had to take 6 years of text to myself while I'm driving. It's like voice, like SMS or text message to Rebecca Hockin.
Yeah.
Here's an idea, and notes in the app, and random thoughts that, in the middle of the night that you just write down next to your on your bedside table, like, and then put those together. But paying attention to them and noticing them and letting yourself indulge them or engage them, I think is maybe part of the process.
So I think, Steph, you talked a little bit about this. What would you say to a leader who is skeptical about the value of encouraging creativity? Because I think and we're hard on ourselves too. Like we think, well, I'm not a creative person. Um, and then I think that can extend into the workplace where we think it's not going to get us to a goal. What would you say to skeptics?
I think for skeptics, especially those in leadership roles or management roles who have, people who report to them and they're, maybe look up to them or want to perform for them. It's
Mm,
like your people are people. They're humans. We all have these parts, these creative parts, but we also have interests outside of work. And frankly,
Yeah.
the more interesting ideas, the more interesting and I think diverse and engaged people are outside of work, the more they bring to work. It's just a better energy. And so I guess the first thing I say, and it maybe sounds a bit sharp, but it's like people are humans. So like treat them like that and treat them like
mhm,
full humans with interests and ideas that aren't already done. And that's really tough in law, which is this whole system based on precedent,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But we're also
Mhm.
told we have to innovate, and what's going to
mhm.
happen to lawyers if, AI and like
Mhm.
this, it's not
Mhm.
that simple at all. But I think this is where even just sharing stories of something you did outside of work on the weekend, that was different, or went to see a play, it was really fun, like that kind of thing. It's like, oh, you're a person too, and I like that there's a permissive element as well, especially for those earlier in their career who see that as the model, that, oh, you can have a
Yeah.
life outside of work and you can talk about it at work.
Yeah.
Um, and countless examples in my own experience and others where something from outside of work, totally unrelated, gave me an idea or an insight into um, a situation at work, whether it was a contract or
Mhm.
a challenging, interpersonal relationship or a partnership that just wasn't working. And that has really helped me. And I have lots of examples, so let me know if you want any.
That's
Well, and
great.
you mentioned AI, and I think for all of us, it requires creativity when we're thinking
Yes.
about prompting and using AI. It really
Yes,
does require us to be creative for sure. So I think that it's important for people to build those skills in legal so that they can use AI and other technology, um, so that they're
absolutely.
more efficient. Sorry, go
And
ahead.
I think technology too, and even at the simplest level, like can allow us to be more in the moment and present and
Hmm.
use those more right brain skills, maybe in those more creative elements. The simplest example I have is I facilitate a team's conference every year. And a lot of the work that I do, in addition to being like the team coach and prompting and asking questions, is managing the time. But if I'm
Mm.
focused on time all the time, I'm not
Mhm.
actually present to tune into the vibe of the room and like all the things that
Right.
I'm actually really there for. And so I just use my watch, I put it on silent, and I set alarms for a minute before every switchover from presenter, and it just buzzes on my wrist. No one knows, but I
Hmm.
trust it. And I know, and this is just very simple technology, but I
Yeah.
know that like I can be in the moment. I don't have to think about time. I can tune in, and then I'm going to get a gentle reminder that no one else hears. They're not stressed about time. That's my job. And that has been such a helpful tool. It's the simplest technology, but really helpful for being able to then be that creative, more intuitive
Hmm.
presence.
Yeah.
And that in itself, I think coming up with these solutions is a form of creativity.
Yeah. Rebecca, we're coming near the end, but this has
Yeah.
been really interesting, and I think, you bring up this, we need to be looking at every employee as a human being who has interests outside, and that actually having additional sort of interests that probably, and I'll say, sort of bring you joy. I think back to a few years ago where I was like, I wanted to start dancing again. So I've been taking hip hop classes, and sometimes I think I'm half decent. Sometimes I'm terrible. Sometimes I'm probably the oldest person in the class, and I don't really care. Um,
Yes. Yes.
but
Relate very directly. Yes.
yeah. We always like to ask, what books or podcasts are you listening to? What do you think that we should be sort of exploring further?
I think for this topic, um, you the art. I have a number of books, but The Artist's
Hmm.
Way is the
Hmm.
fundamental,
Hmm. Yeah.
creative. Get re in touch with your creative energy. It's a self-led course, or you can just read the book. So I always recommend that one. For something really simple, especially for people who are more structured, but they want to do something creative. I really like The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. It's a
Mhm.
tiny little book. I have it somewhere around here. It's small, it's really practical, and it's really about getting over that resistance, that voice that's like, oh
Yeah.
no, like I'm not creative, or I don't have time for this, or my boss doesn't want me to be doing that,
Yeah.
really practical.
Right.
Um, and from a more like emotional health sort of perspective, I recently read Martha Beck's book Beyond Anxiety, and she really focuses on
Mhm.
creativity, creative expression as an antidote to anxiety, and
Mm.
as a support to mental health, and really just a more fulfilling, enjoyable, and connected life. So I
Yeah.
really, and tons of exercises there. So those are my top
Great.
three. Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you for that, and thank you for appearing today. And I it was so lovely to have you back. And it was also nice because I think for a lot of people, they think, to be creative, they need to be painting and
Yeah.
doing all of these artistic endeavors.
Yeah.
And I think that you've shared that there's small things we can do to get started to work out our creative muscle. And some of the things that we do day to day, we're being creative in those moments, the baking, the hip hop dancing, all of those things. So thank you again, and until next time.
Thank you both so much. This is a lot of fun.